And I saw her writing 7-8 pages about a film, and I saw how deep she went into a film, and I saw the personal way that she talked about a film. It felt as if you were seeing the film as you were reading it, even though you haven't seen it yourself. And I always thought I wanted to be Pauline Kael. I basically grew up with radio and with books because there weren't really, of course there wasn't television, so I was faintly aware of cinema. And once I discovered cinema, The Ten Commandments, Cecil B. DeMille, 1959, was the first film that I saw. And I was so overwhelmed by what I saw on the screen that I just fell in love with pictures. My first introduction to film criticism was when I was in grade 10. For the very first time, I saw a film that was anti-apartheid. There was a film that said apartheid was wrong. I heard people talking about it. I realized the power of film. I saw that and I wrote my very first review at 15 in a school book. And there I sort of tried to analyze the film. I discovered that I enjoyed more writing about films than I would ever do by making a film or acting in one or whatever. And that's ignited in me a passion for cinema, a passion for learning more about the power of the visual image. Then I went to Kimberley and I did my military training, and from there on I went to Stellenbosch University. And the moment I entered that university, my entire life changed, because I started as a drama student. I discovered drama, I discovered stage, I discovered acting, I discovered writing, I discovered there are other people like me. And in the back of my mind, I always thought I wanted to write film criticism. But in my time, this early 70s, there weren't really film critics. There were one or two. Then I started discovering Pauline Kael, who was the biggest film critic in America at that time. And I saw her writing 7-8 pages about a film. After I saw many films at university, I started writing my own little reviews, got to the SABC, started in 1975 as an announcer.
Ek moet egter vir jou waarsku dat American Made nie jou tipiese Tom Cruise aksiefliek is nie. Sy glimlag is steeds breed genoeg vir 'n Boeing om op te land, maar die fliek is maar effentjies. Dis nie die blitsige Tom Cruise extravaganza wat jy verwag nie.
Newspapers heard about me, television heard about me. They saw that I had a different approach to cinema and to reviewing than other critics had, and that's how my career as a film critic opened. A creative process is a difficult thing to describe. It is just something that happens to you. As I sit down and I start writing, the first pages, or 1 or 2 or 3 pages, are so difficult to write. So I basically want to say to you, the secret of my writing is rewriting. For instance, Ballade vir 'n Enkeling script had 11 rewrites, which I did myself, after conversing with several other people. The creative process is also about discipline. You have to know about construction. You have to know exactly how a character works. And I try to think ahead what my editor would ask me. So as I write, I criticize myself and I edit myself as I write. You should, like all films, you should have respect for what the people are trying to say. Your own personal taste should not play any part. You shouldn't have a particular taste. Of course, I like certain kind of films, but when I go to review a film, most of the time, I don't know what I'm seeing. The same applies to any film that you see. You should know the directors of other films. Let's take Christopher Nolan, for instance. If you see Dunkirk, you should know about Inception and The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises and all the films that he started with, so that you can compare those films, and you should know other films in that genre. But I think I identify the audience for whom the film was made. And audiences also seem to like the way that I look at films, the fact that I look at it mostly humorously. So I would put in a lot of humor. The response that I get is your reviews are often more entertaining than the films that you review. There's nothing as boring as when somebody sits there and just say, oh, this is a nice film, the cinematography is good, the story is interesting, therefore go and see it. That kind of review means nothing to me. But if somebody says to me, if you've ever in your life felt that nothing can scare you anymore, go and see Get Out. And that might just surprise you. So go out, be surprised, but go with an open mind. Don't expect the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Expect something totally new. Remember, I come from the 60s, the 70s and the 80s, where it was mostly businessmen who made films. While today you have young filmmakers, they know what to do with the tools of cinema. And I think that's where we are at the moment, at the best place we've ever been. Sometimes it's good to be taken out of your comfort zone and be surprised, and not always see the same thing presented in the same way.